In recent years, we have truly been blessed by these remakes. Resident Evil games are evolving from having terrifying camera controls to actually being terrifying. The PlayStation sellers have all been brought back into the limelight, including the elusive Final Fantasy VII remake. Like, sure, the outside world has gone to shit, but at least we can wither away a while, But at least we can wither away a while entertained. Even SpongeBob got a remake to one of his best games. Look, he looks like he can actually suck you into those pits, holes, whatever they are. But today's topic is the game that will soon be re-released, Xenoblade Chronicles. Like, this game's fucking brilliant.
If this game gets a remake, just like complete overhaul, I would jizz everywhere.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, it's probably never gonna happen.
No, it's not. Let's be real.
One of the reasons I'm so happy is that this will be the first time Xenoblade 1 will be released on a console with proper availability, on a console that wasn't a bullshit upgrade of an existing console, and with proper marketing so people actually know that it exists. And with proper graphics that most people can get behind. Anyway, remakes bring new people into the game. And with the Switch being as successful as it is, it fills me with joy that people get to experience the game I hold so close and dear to my heart. However, quite a few of my friends that have gotten into Xenoblade have quit in a certain part of the game. And that part will be the topic of today's video. Now, I usually implore for people's first playthroughs of games to be influenced by other people as little as possible, but I think a warning wouldn't be unwarranted in this case. No game is perfect, and this one is no exception, even though I would like to argue otherwise. I love this game so much. Oh, the textures. Oh! Look at this cutscene! I love this cutscene! Whoosh! So basically, today we'll be looking at how the length and the girth of Ether Mine made my friends rage quit the game. Penis. I'm not kidding, my least favorite area is on this giant creature's crotch. The game tries to lie to you by saying it's somewhere around the upper leg or waist, but I call bullshit. Just look at this. That looks like a crotch to me. Anywho, before I can talk about Ether Mine and more specifically Central Pit, I need to talk about the area before this, which is the iconic, as seen on Smash, Gar Plains. Fun fact, Gar Plains is only approximately 20% of the actual area, which is called Bionis Leg. The reason why Bionis Leg is so fondly remembered is because it's when the game takes off the training wheels and really lets you take things at your own pace. The opening shot is breathtaking, and comes at a really good point in the story. By this point, you've also been introduced to most of the core mechanics of the game. The game has taught you about Minato arts, changing futures, fighting Mechon, and have added a healer to your part. Oh, wait, that's not the correct.
I'll reveal your true form.
What the Okay. Thank you, Joker from Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal. Anyway, she finally completes your holy trinity of tank, DPS, and healer. The game encourages you to use these tools to explore Bionis Leg, with all of its scale and fauna, which have their own territories and behavior patterns. Some of them aggressively patrol the area, making sure no one harms its offspring. Some of them run away to warn their comrades, and some of them are just dicks.
I can't go on.
Thankfully, in this game, dying is pretty inconsequential, so I don't mind some bird shitting on me every once in a while. And of course, say with me, the music. Actually, why would you say that with me? I hate it when people say that. When listening to it, I feel like rolling down the hills of a grassy plain, but it also has those relaxing moments that make you want to take in the scenery. This is where you'll start to grow a bigger understanding on how the game works in general. Even in the cutscenes, Shulk warns Ryan seamlessly about danger.
Probably some type of arachno.
Ryan, get back! Let him go! Ryan, better watch your back. Got it! Cheers, Shock!
However, just like how you can have a vision and not be able to change it in battle, Shulk isn't always on point. Like with Juju the jet plane here. He gets captured, and so our heroes give chase, and eventually... And, well, long story short, that's really the big issue here. Ether Mine is kinda boring. It's long-winded, there's a lot of waiting, and the whole time you're waiting in these dumb elevators, like doom 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 doom, and yeah, it fits really well with the level. Mines don't tend to be a fun place to explore, the clank clank sound like working, and it's repetitive as hell, so yeah, it fits perfectly! The level consists of mechons, so it feels much less organic compared to the Bionis leg, which does make sense in terms of the story and setting, but coupled with the samey level design, it just makes me wish I was back on the Bionis leg. Bionis leg was much better paced and was much more interesting to explore. None of the enemies here drop required materials or are needed for quests to break up the monotony and give you any small rewards frequently, something that Bionis leg did really well with its enemy placement and questing. There are a lot of ether crystals, but they aren't immediate rewards, since they need to be crafted in order to be usable. And the fact that this is right after Bionis leg really doesn't do Ether Mine or Central Pit any favors. Oh, and just to clarify, Ether Mine is the part inside these tight caves, and Central Pit is this main area with the big dick drill. Central Pit is more of a pit stain than Ether Mine, since at least there 15% of your playtime isn't wasted on purely waiting. Oh, and there's more organic life forms in Ether Mine as well. Fighting the Mechon shouldn't be too much of a hassle for you at this point, but constantly having to enchant and topple somewhat restricts your fighting strategy for the mine. Like, playing a Charlotte here is just abysmal. You're at the complete mercy of your teammates, since she can do no significant amounts of damage, and she has no good crowd control since the bots will just wake up every person you try to sleep. Literally the worst party member against generic Mechon. Imagine having Melia at this point. That would have been so much more fun. You have an instant topple, magic damage. Mwah. Beautiful. To be fair, most people tend to play as Shulk, and enchant is pretty cheap, so this is admittedly a little nitpicky, so let's move on. Central Pit also feels like it drags on, thanks to the ether crystals. While collecting them is useful, it just takes up some idle time, especially when they're being guarded by Mechon and you have to kill them. Thankfully, if you're over leveled at this point, like I sometimes am, you can just walk right up to them and take it because they're too scared of you. My biggest fear. Large numbers. The horror. Another reason why it feels longer than it really is thanks to these elevators that can leave you behind. The speed is just enough where if you jump off to catch it, you might die from fall damage. Doesn't happen too often, but still, this is such a massive safety hazard. Whoever designed these things for employee usage should be fired. Anyway, as tedious as this level can get, it's not really that bad. I can see what they were going for, contrasting your wide open adventures on the leg to the cold, closed, and linear Ether Mine to keep the gameplay and atmosphere fresh. I think the execution is a little bit lacking on Central Pit sections, however. But no, what really made my friends quit is the boss of the area, Zord. And a lot can go wrong in this fight if you're not prepared. The most obvious thing about Zord is that, well, attacking him is like a fly, baby! Unless if he's toppled, that is. He's also immune to break, which is like, applying break is like adding milk to your cereal. Waiting a minute for each of your AC friends to connect so you can play together. Or, like, you know, smashing the like button before watching my videos. Just an extra step that you just have to do.
Hey, don't look at me, I don't make the rules.
In order to properly apply break to Zord, you have to do it in a chain attack. That means your objective for this battle is to actually fill up the party gauge by fulfilling bonus conditions for attacks and doing the button prompt successfully. But Zord isn't the only opponent on the field, however. He can summon 3 Mechon whenever he has no allies. I recommend trying to take down 2 as fast as possible, and then maybe leaving the last one alive for a little, if possible. You might need to kill that one too if it's about to kill you or a teammate. Remember that reviving your party members needs 1 stock of party gauge, meaning that every time you have to do it, you're actually getting further away from your goal. In case that wasn't bad enough, Zord has an AoE topple, an AoE charge that does a lot of damage but thankfully has a narrow hitbox, a haste buff that lets him attack faster after casting it, and all the Mechon he summons also have attacks that topple, some even being AoE. Jeez, that's some ridiculous crowd control. If your whole party ever gets toppled at the same time, you have basically lost. Focus on staying to the side of Zord whenever possible so your whole team never gets hit by it at once, so you can help each other out when you do get toppled. Oh yeah, that's right, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Guess what that is? That's called interactive gameplay. Utilize Minato's speed a lot too. You usually want to give it either to Ryan so he doesn't take much damage, or to save someone who is aggroed and on low HP. You really don't want to spend that party gauge here. Oh yeah, speaking of aggro, that's another huge problem in this fight. For those of you who don't know, aggro is how the AI perceives who the biggest threat is and attacks it. The more damage a character has done, the more aggro has been accumulated. This means that Shulk can't just unleash powerful attacks without thinking, otherwise he'll be biting the dust really quick in the early game. To balance this, we have tank characters like Ryan. His kit is more focused on building aggro with arts that have extra effects, like Matataunt or Lock-On.
Bring it on!
But there is one more way aggro is accumulated: healing and supportive skills. Yes, if a character heals too much, they will build up aggro as well. The problem that this presents in the Zord fight is that, well, you can't properly damage Zord all the time. This means that Ryan can't draw the aggro efficiently, especially since the AI will be controlling them. It's very possible Charlotte's healing will draw too much aggro, which will basically doom her. Worst case scenario, she gets dogpiled by all the enemies, due to Ryan's AoE options being limited to Aura Burst, which suffers from a very long cooldown period. Because of how healing aggro works and the respawning enemies, the war of attrition is a war you will lose should you try to fight it. This forces you to adapt a different playstyle, sometimes ignoring defense and just using your chain attack on Zord, since you don't actually need to kill him to win, you just need to get him down to a certain HP gate. Oh, but when you finally do, it's always such a nice feeling of relief being able to leave this place. The game starts opening up again and revealing its beautiful environments, deep combat, and plot. You know, playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 doesn't seem like such a bad idea, after all.
I like your attitude. Thanks a lot. Double spinning edge! And arrived. Nice. Let's show 'em a thing or three.
All in one piece.
Shut up already! Thank you so much to everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed it at least half as much as I enjoyed making it. This was really fun for me because I think it's interesting to point out criticism of Xenoblade 1 because the fanbase is really loyal to it, so its flaws are rarely talked about. In fact, if you want to talk about those flaws or the many positives of Xenoblade, I would love to have a conversation in the true intellectual space known as the YouTube comments section. Anyway, if you want to support me, you know what stuff to click. Special thanks to my friends and family for just being really cool, and I wish you all a great day.